You're listening to the IB4E Coaching Podcast.
Brought to you by IB4E Coaching, business coaching for executives, entrepreneurs, and small business professionals. Learn more at ib4e-coaching.com.
Hey, Coach Harlan here. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal week. I'm having a pretty good week. And I'm excited to introduce you to my guest today. Please help me welcome Arias WebsterBerry. Arias WebsterBerry is a seasoned entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over a decade of experience building revenue-generating brands. As founder and CEO of WebsterBerry Marketing, he's led hundreds of clients to measurable success through tailored services in web design, sales funnels, social media, CRM, email marketing, and branding. Arias is also the creator of Launch Ignition AI, an innovative business accelerator that automates websites, funnels, and campaign creation in minutes, helping clients achieve up to 312% lead growth and 5x revenue increases. He's launched multiple ventures, including Ignite Funnels and authored Content Cannon, which guides entrepreneurs in generating a month's worth of content in a single day. Arias, welcome to the program.
Harlan, thank you for having me, and thank you for that amazing intro, man. I don't even know who you're talking about. It sounds like somebody amazing. I don't know.
You are amazing. I'm talking about you, and we're going to find out just how amazing you are. Your business website, WebsterBerry Marketing, right? It's kind of it seems like it's kind of built around the idea of street hustle meets corporate strategy. Would love to know kind of what that looks like in actual practice, and how has your background influenced that mindset?
Yeah, I am definitely equal parts, hustler and, corporate CEO. I've spent a lot of time in the entertainment industry, really just figuring things out and, doing that at a very high level. And, then while trying to become a CEO and build my company, also spending enormous amounts of time in the corporate ranks, trying to climb the ladder. And, once I was able to successfully figure it out, I was able to go build my own. And, my journey has been anything but traditional, from being homeless and to now leading companies that empower creators and CEOs worldwide. So, today I talk about courage and leadership, not the Instagram version of leadership,
Right.
but the kind that shows up when things break and when people quit and you're still standing in the storm, leading forward anyway. And, to your other question as to how that shows up, my biggest thing in my North Star is just helping people bring their dreams to fruition, helping entrepreneurs turn ideas into income, turn their passions into profits, and giving them the tools in the framework in guidance that they need in order to add value to the world.
Nice. Very cool. Good stuff. All right. We want to dive in deeper on all of that, kind of find out how you got your start, how you got to where you are, who you work with, how you help them. But before we get started, I've got 10 questions that I'd like to ask each one of my guests. Now, listeners know that these are the questions made famous on the TV show Inside the Actor's Studio, where the host James Lipton asks these same questions of his Hollywood guests from TV, film, and stage. And I figure if they're good enough for the Hollywood elite, they're certainly good enough for my guests. So, Arias, if you're ready, I'd like to ask these 10 questions, please.
Let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is ignite, because it's about starting something powerful, but from within. It's that spark that I think everything important, everything magical comes from and starts with.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I've seen that Ignite on your website. You've several businesses with Ignite in the title. So yeah, absolutely. All right. What is your least favorite word?
That one is a toss up. So I always say that Can't is a dirty word. This is actually the most I've ever said that word in a decade. It's just it immediately shuts down possibilities. And the other one would be someday, because someday it lulls you into a false sense of comfort. It's a word that's killed more dreams than failure ever will, and it allows you, a cop out, a excuse to not get started today, thinking that eventually someday I'll get started, someday I'll achieve that, someday I'll have it, and someday typically never comes.
Never comes. Like kicking the can down the road, right? Just never actually achieve. Yeah, my wife,
Yeah.
can't is a 4-letter word, and my wife always, we used to ride motorcycles with a couple different groups, and the women in the group would go, "Oh, I can't ride a motorcycle." My wife would stop them. No, don't say you can't. You don't want to. You haven't yet learned, but don't say
Mhm.
can't, because everybody can, right? So, all right.
Sounds like a smart lady.
Oh, she is. She's awesome. All right. Question number 3. What turns you on?
Um, I would say watching someone create something, seeing the the first creation in their head, and then watching them bring that into fruition, bringing that into the physical world. I remember many years ago, um, I was working on the corporate side of things, as we spoke of earlier. I was working my corporate job, and I got a call from one of my investors, and he had somebody who had approached him with this idea for a concert, and I was the only person that he knew that was in the entertainment industry or had any experience in entertainment. And he said, "Hey, I'd like to just pay you to consult, like just make sure I don't get my ass handed to me." And I said, "Okay." So I remember getting off work. I drove to LA. We sat down and we talked. And over the course of a few weeks, this idea formed. And it didn't go anywhere near the way we planned it. It actually went completely left. But I remember when we actually had the concert, this really small concert that turned into a really large concert at the Los Angeles Sports Arena with Grammy Award winning artists. I'm standing on stage looking out over 17,000 people. And I remember thinking, this all started with a phone call at my cubicle. I'm supposed to be answering the phone, and I saw that he called. I'm just like, oh, I wonder what he wants. And now there's 17,000 people in an arena in Janelle Monáe's backstage. And, that is the thing, I don't think there's anything more sexy than being able to create something in your mind and then see it right in front of your eyes.
Absolutely. Wow. That must have been awesome. Very cool. All right. What turns you off?
Excuses, especially from talented people. I've learned that potential without responsibility is just wasted oxygen.
Yeah. Nice.
And there's that saying that hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. There's just so many talented people. There's so many people that have been bestowed with natural gifts, and they let words like can't and every excuse in the book as to why it's not the right time, or it couldn't work for me, or um, you know I don't have the money, I don't have the smarts, I don't have the resources or the connections, or whatever, it's already saturated, blah blah blah. Excuses are just, they're a tragedy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cody Sanchez. I don't know if you've ever seen any of her videos and stuff like that. She talks about a lot that just take that first step. Say yes and figure it out on the way.
Hmm.
Don't shut yourself down. I mean, take the opportunity. Say yes. Figure it out. Everything is figure outable, right? Very
Yeah,
cool.
she's awesome.
All right. Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
um the click of a project being marked complete.
Mm,
That kind of push back, click, push back from the desk. Yeah, that one, we can put that one to rest. That's an amazing feeling because a lot of projects get started and never finish. You know, to me, that's the sound of progress, accountability, teamwork, sacrifice. All kind of converging together to make something.
Nice. Very cool. All right. What sound or noise do you hate?
Um, Social media notifications. And you wouldn't think because I run a marketing
I
agency,
know you
but
run a marketing agency.
that's probably why I hate them so much. There you go. Is one just went off. It's a constant. It's a necessary evil. There's so many great things that happen and connections and things learned and things started on social media. But it's also a distraction. It's also an excuse for you not to get things done. Um, and I've luckily it doesn't happen anymore, but I hate those notifications like in the middle of the night. My
Yes.
my team is all over the country. I have clients all over the world. So there's always something pinging somewhere. So I'm like, no,
Yeah.
just turn it off. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Yeah, I started using the do not disturb a lot.
Yes.
So yeah, you have to do that. All right. Question 7. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit. Because sometimes you just got to get shit done, like cut the shit and get some shit
Yep.
done.
Yep.
Uh, that actually, funny enough, that became a part of an event name for that I do every single week. So
Yeah.
in Launch Ignition, every Monday, 6 p.m., we do this thing called Get Shit Done.
Nice.
And it is, part we call the hustle headspace, where we talk about the mindset of an entrepreneur. And then we get into ideas to dollars, where we instruct on practical things that you can put forth in your business. And then we have the 7 to 7. And that's where I start by saying, what shit did you get done in the last 7 days? And what shit are you going to get done in the next 7 days?
Nice.
And so, yeah, that's probably my most used profane word.
There you go. Good job. All right. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Ooh, Formula One driving.
There you go.
Formula One
Nice.
driving. I love exotic cars. I love driving them fast. And there's nothing faster than a Formula One car. Well, I mean, that you could actually drive, right?
Right.
Um, sorry, there's
Nice.
some noise in the background. Yeah, I just the level of mental and physical connectivity that you need to be dialed in to push it to the limits is amazing. And I
Yeah.
love that right brain, left brain, symbiosis that's needed for something like that.
And the physicality. I mean, it's physical, a lot more physical than people think.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
G force is just, I mean, people pass out. I mean, you can.
Good.
And, being able to just dial in and will yourself, because I mean, that's really all it is just was training, but willing yourself to stay in it. And even when you've got this pressure on you to continue to push is just phenomenal to me.
Nice. All right. What profession would you not like to do?
Um, Accounting.
Yes. I am with you on that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No said.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Final question. Arias, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Um, you've done well and you left it all on the field.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could end my life and just know that I gave everything I could, Um, that's enough for me.
Good job. Good job. All right. All right. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk about how you got your start, who you work with, how you help them, all the stuff about your businesses, and at some point transition into courage and leadership. Right.
Awesome.
All right, listeners, we're going to be talking about all that and more right after this. So stick with us. And I'm back with my guest, Arias, WebsterBerry. Arias, thank you again for taking time out to chat with us on the podcast. This is awesome. I've been looking forward to the conversation because I think you've got a great company and just all the things you've been involved in and stuff. Take us back to the early days. Was there a certain spark moment that you realized this is a way I want to build my agency? Was there one thing that really ignited you on that path?
Um, I have I've had the benefit of being around a lot of amazing entrepreneurs. Um, if is there one point? I don't know if I can say there's one point. I know I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 years ago when we really started to get some momentum. Um, I was leaving a company that I was doing some consulting work for, and the owner was just a major douche. It's just very successful, um, but just not a good person to be around. And I remember taking some time and replaying all of the interactions, both with that owner and the interactions I had with a lot of that person's staff and the gripes and complaints that they had. And I think that one had an impact on me because from the outside looking in, wildly successful, amazing growth, but internally there's a decay. And now, many years later, that decay kind of caught up and the business has shrunk dramatically. And I realized that I didn't want to build something that did not have the ability to last. And that meant that I had to change. I needed to instill my beliefs, my mantra, my hustle, my pace, my love into this thing, and I had to force it into the very DNA and codify it there.
Mm,
Um, and because of that, the company has grown. We have a personality,
yeah,
um, and it's some of mine, but it's also very much that of the rest of my team. And
sure.
um, because of that, we attract people that we want to work with, and we repel people that we don't.
Mhm.
And it is very much propelled our growth. We are now expanding into other countries and taking on enormous amounts of staff, and helping people build their business. And we get love letters, is what I like to call them. We get glowing reviews, right, and videos and stuff from clients that are excited about what we've been able to do with them. And I think that it very much has to do with that experience, but also many others, right? Having crappy bosses in
Mm,
corporate settings, having crappy clients that paid me a lot of money, but I really didn't like them as a person, or what
yeah,
they stood for. Um, and taking the amount of time that it took, because it took a long time for me to build this thing, gave me the space to realize that that not all money is good money.
yes.
Not all growth is good growth, and I'm not willing to do anything to get ahead if it makes me sacrifice who I am and what I believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wish more entrepreneurs knew that because a lot of times they take that easy money and they end up really regretting it, right? Because it's
Yeah,
just not part of the culture. It's not part of your your core values. And anytime you're working against the grain like that, it's yeah, it's not good. Not good. So I know every entrepreneur kind of has that one moment or that one project that kind of tests their resilience. It tests their commitment and things like that. Is there one that you can think of in particular that may have tested you?
Oh, there's a couple. um, I believe that, whoever you pray to, or if you pray at all, I believe that whenever you decide that you really want something, you will be tested. I think it's the universe or God's way of seeing if you truly are for this thing or if you're just telling yourself that. And I had a business opportunity that came around. It was an amazing opportunity. I was working with um, a travel company, and the founder of that company and I got along famously. We put together a long-term plan, and I allocated an enormous amount of resources to it, and we got working. We built this master system, sites and funnels and back end systems, advertising, just all kinds of things. And come to find out, this guy is a con artist.
Mm,
You um, you know, does a great job of hiding it. Has all kinds of reasons why what everybody said once, I kind of sussed this all out. Why
yeah.
this, that, oh no, it's because of blah, blah, blah. And, ends up owing me over 140 grand.
Wow.
Um, and, we were really starting to get our trajectory. Things are going amazing. And I'm like, wow, we're getting, this money coming in, and this is about to go crazy. And this is going to be a long-term partnership. We're going to make millions of dollars. And it was a blow. It was one of those things where it's like you think that you're got it figured out, and then you get a gut punch. um and lots of lessons learned. One, trust but verify. Deep
Yeah.
dive.
Yep. Yep.
Two, um be more diligent in collection.
Yeah.
uh
Yep.
and in three, don't ever believe in someone's dream more than they do. you know
Nice. Yeah.
um and those is one of those things. There's other times where we've tried to do partnerships and they didn't work out for one reason or another. um but there are a lot of people out there that just, for whatever they're going through in their life, they just look to take, and they look to not give.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to. And the other thing is examining yourself to figure out what drew them to you, because I think that the world is very much a mirror and not a window. So you have to
Yeah.
examine yourself as to what in you would pull someone like that to you, and also recognize that people like that are around you all the time. But more importantly, what allowed you to accept that type of person into your space.
Yeah.
Um, so you know, we don't have those issues anymore. So it was an expensive lesson,
Yeah. Most of them are.
right?
Most of them
Um,
are.
but a lesson indeed. Mistakes are mistakes unless you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So, who are some of the clients you work with now?
Oh, tons. So the Crown Plaza Hotel, which is an international
Nice.
hotel
Yeah.
hotel chain, part of IHG. Um, Nyack Cognac, which is an international spirits brand. They're produced in Cognac, France, and they're headquartered in Miami.
Nice.
Um, we've worked with large companies like Lenovo, and now we do a lot of work with small to medium sized businesses. Usually 5 million or under. A lot of in there that are under 100 grand. They're still making their first 50, first 60,000. Um, you know, I think what we've prided ourselves on is being able to flex, for and provide solutions for the solopreneur that maybe doesn't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend every month,
Sure.
but also scale up to an enterprise level company, and in not giving lower quality service simply because you're only spending, three, four, $500, still going all out and giving everything, giving more than what we um, promised you, in an effort to truly not only win your business, but keep it.
Nice. Yeah, those small to mid-sized companies, that's the backbone of the country.
Hmm.
They employ more people than a lot of the bigger companies do when you really look at it. So yeah, getting them solid. That's cool. Very cool. So I know you talked social authority, right, is big. And you talk about that as a core service and stuff. What are two or three misunderstandings maybe that you've seen that your clients bring to you? Um, how do you guide them through those misunderstandings?
Yeah, social authority is something we came up with that, it was just like we need to do something more than just social media management. I mean, we have lots of services, but in that particular vein, we wanted to diversify. So we coupled our PR department with our social media management, infused them, and out came social authority.
Nice.
Um, I think the misunderstanding is that, um, social media or organic social media is going to be a huge lead and revenue generator for you. It can be, but for the average business owner, the average business, if I'm being honest, you're not gonna go viral, you know, and that's really what it takes for you to generate consistent leads. Is you need to get in front of enough people, and it takes time to dial in your content to figure out, um, what resonates with your audience, what adds value, and more importantly, what makes them respond. And typically, with organic content creation and publishing, you're not going to get in front of enough people to get them to react. You know, and I that's usually a hard pill to swallow because most entrepreneurs are just like, hey, I need money.
Yep.
So I hear you make money on social media. I've heard people, they post and then money pops out the other side. So
Yeah.
can you do that? And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's most likely not in the cards for you. So,
Right.
trying to manage expectations and let them know that social media is more of a top of mind, especially, well,
Yeah.
organic social media is more top of mind for the people that are already following you, who already know who you are. Um, it's there for a timing thing. If you do it consistently, if you do it well, when someone actually needs you, they see you. You pop up in their feed. The algorithm gods, show your stuff at just the right time when the person has the cold, and you're like, "Hey, I sell cold medicine,"
Right.
right? Um, so realizing that that's not kind of the purpose of that is the first thing, and then the second thing is the opposite side of that. If you are looking to generate leads, if you're looking to, um, produce revenue and be able to see a true ROI, well, the other side of that is not the organic, it's paid.
Yeah.
Take a budget, take your content, put the budget behind the content, and force it into the feeds of a certain number of people. That's where that conversion rate comes from. Most people don't realize that the engagement rate or the uh, rate that people will click, they'll comment, like, is about 1%, 1 to 2%. So a scenario, if you get 100 views, you might get one like,
Yeah.
maybe two, maybe.
Maybe.
That's just a
Yeah.
like. We're not talking about a comment or click through your website. I want to buy something. So when you start to put in that lens and you are trying to generate revenue, especially if it's a higher ticket item, the higher ticket item, the higher the cost of the item, the more time it's going to take, the more consideration, the more education, the higher volume of people you're going to need to get to in order to get to revenue. And if you're going after just that organic thing, and let's say you're only seeing 100 people on your post, well, you may be, a few years
Yeah.
before
You'll
they
be here for a
your
while,
first
right?
sale organically. So it's a,
But it's
it's a,
about building those relationships, right?
yeah.
Getting out there and being you, being authentic, being, whatever and stuff. So people kind of feel like they have a connection to you. And
Hmm.
then they're more interested in what it is you're doing. So it's not just the money you set aside for your marketing budget. It's a consistency about being out there and being you, having that brand, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing. You have to get people to know, like, and trust you. And um, with it's hard to do all three at once. The first thing is just show them anything. Have they seen your logo? Have they heard your voice? Do they know that your company exists? And usually it takes them seeing you a couple times, or maybe you just happen to have dialed your content into to a point where it's really potent, it's really well done. So maybe you got them to know you and you had a hit with one piece of content, so they also like you, right? But I don't give money to everybody I like, right? I mean, there's people in my family that I like and I won't give them money. So, you as a stranger on the other side of the internet, getting someone to laugh or engage with you, you still got, an uphill battle. So that trust factor comes with what you said. That's the consistency. Have they seen you several times? Have they seen you over some time? Do you seem to be consistent? Do you seem to be warm, inviting? If you've done it enough to where they say, well, let me check out what this thing is about. Let me just go peruse the website. Instead of just seeing something come up in my feed, maybe I'll go to their actual um, profile and click around a bit. Right. That's that trust factor. And once you have those three things, you still need them to actually need what it is that you have, and it has to be right timing. So, once you get those things in place and you do so consistently and you do so at a frequency and in a mass enough to find those few people who actually know, like, trust you and actually need you right now, well, then that's a winning formula. But if you're, I post something every 2 months. Oh, I hired some social media guys back in the day, and they created, 10 posts, and
Mm.
they're full of crap. We stopped, and then we hired somebody else 6 months later, and then we stopped.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
there are,
I had one guy in one of my networking groups goes, yeah, yeah, I worked with this marketing team for like 3 weeks. I got nothing out of it. It's like 3 weeks. You probably didn't even know their name at the end of 3 weeks. You know what I mean? This
yeah.
takes time. You have to be in there for the long haul. It's like investing in the stock market. You can't just do
Mhm.
it for a couple of days and say, no, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I always tell people at least 90 days. Do a 90-day commitment. If you're not going to do that, don't even start, to be honest. There are a lot of things that if you're actually focused and you're paying attention that you'll learn in that process. You should be able to get better with every single piece of content, every word, in order to serve, because that's what social media is. It's attention, but you're serving people. You're trying to add value and you're doing it in bite-sized snippets.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. So I know that marketing changes, right? It evolves over time. Um, you probably are using AI to some extent and stuff like that. How has that impacted the work that you do, and how are those tools changing the way small businesses operate?
Oh no, this one's awesome. So it is revolutionized everything that we do. Many years ago, I used to sit up late into the wee hours, cobbling together complex systems, fill out this form, grab it and push it over here, and maybe send an email and, blah, blah, blah. Now, AI has the ability to process and understand simple um, commands, simple prompts. You know, we currently, so actually earlier today, I saw a conversation going on in my DM with a entrepreneur that apparently has been watching some of my content, and he sent a message on a piece of content, said, "Hey, what is a funnel?" And my system responded and said, "Hey, a funnel is blah 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 blah. We can talk more. Check your DM." It shot a DM that said, "Hey," just a simple "Hey." He said, "Hey," kind of back and forth conversation. It booked a meeting on my calendar.
Nice.
And for today, talked to him today, sat with him today, closed him today.
Nice.
3-4 years ago, that would have been, 4 or 5 day ordeal, right? I conversate with him. Uh, he takes a break. I take a break. Oh, I remember that I never responded, back and forth.
Mhm.
Hey, I can meet Tuesday. Tuesday's no good for me. What about Wednesday? Back and forth, back and forth. These things allow us to show up whenever the customer is ready. Whether it's in the middle of the night, middle of the day, if I'm on vacation, if I'm taking a shower, this thing is always on, and it has enough information to be able to speak for me and really move the chains down the field. So we're using it in everything. We're doing omni-channel AI, so you can hit us on all social media platforms and it'll pick up. If you hit us on Instagram and then jump over to LinkedIn, it can reference the conversation from LinkedIn and know it's you. I mean, from Instagram and know it's you. You can call in and it can have a conversation with you. It can send you an email. It can do live chat, take notes, leave notes, cancel a meeting, reschedule a meeting, all of these things. So, in a very short order, it has grown by leaps and bounds and it's become, indispensable in our day-to-day workflow.
And you can help set that up for businesses too. Can you help them with that?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty. And honestly, every single product and service that we have is always started with me trying to solve a problem for us.
Sure.
So we always use us as the guinea pig. We screw it up terribly internally and
Yep.
then work out the kinks. And then once we've done that, typically people go, "How did you do that?" And then I realize that it's valuable. And then we start, doing it for other people. So yeah, we create omni-channel AI agents for companies now on the Ignite Funnels platform, our platform, which makes it even more powerful. ChatGPT is great. Claude is great.
Mhm.
But the ability to have an agent that works inside of the system that manages your business, where your calendar lives, where your payment processing lives, where your website lives, where your emails and text messages come in, so that it has not only the ability to understand language, but to process it. And then it has a toolbox to actually take actions.
Act on it.
It
Nice.
can access your calendar. It can say, "Hey, um, our service is $9.99. Here's a link. Let's go ahead and get that processed." It's the beauty of it. So we can definitely do it for people.
Nice. And so it's steps above having just a virtual assistant, right? Because this one never sleeps. It's out there doing it for you everywhere all at the same time.
Yeah, and that's and I I'm kind of, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people, you're not going to be able to compete with this thing. You know,
Right.
it's very much in its fetal stages. So I understand the gravity of it replacing. I think for right now, it's going to work alongside with a lot of people, but eventually, it's
Mhm.
going to replace them. But yeah, it doesn't take breaks. It doesn't take holidays. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't forget um, to leave the note in the system. It never
Right.
gets too busy.
Doesn't
It
get
doesn't.
moody. It doesn't, yeah,
It doesn't
have a
misspell
bad
things.
day. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's it's an interesting time, and I think it's riveting right now in business. It's never been a more exciting time in business.
Nice. Very cool. But then, with the influx of AI and stuff, people are putting a lot more content out. Uh, what's actually going to cut through the noise in 2026, 2027? What are we looking for that's actually going to get out there in front of people?
Um, well, two things. One is just shock and awe. Right, that's always going to be a thing, and unfortunately, it's going to get more and more extreme now that you have the ability to create things just literally by typing. You can
Right.
create a whole movie. I think I saw a whole short movie that was created recently purely through AI. Um, So the shock and awe is always going to be something that cuts through, but I believe that something that's a little more time tested, something that's more within reach for the common entrepreneur is brand. You know, taking the time to establish what you want to be known for. What you want to do better than everyone else. Um, that you want to hang your hat on. And I always define branding as what people say about you when you're out of the room.
Nice.
You know, good, bad, or indifferent.
Mhm.
Someone says, "Man, I got a nail in my tire," and someone's, "Oh, hey, I got a great guy for
I
you.
got the guy. Yep.
He's down on 10th in Maine. He's been fixing my tires on my car for the last 10 years. Great guy, honest. Isn't going to jerk you around." That's branding. I haven't said
Yep.
anybody's name, right? I
Yep.
haven't said colors and logos and all of that stuff. It's what do you want to be known for? What are people going to say behind your back when you're not in the room? And if you can really keep that at the forefront and realize that every interaction that you have with someone,
Mhm.
every email, every text, every piece of content, every time they call and you answer the phone, every time you deliver an invoice or don't, that is branding. What experience are they having with you, and what can they count on from you?
Nice. Yeah, those spontaneous testimonials are worth their weight in gold. It's I mean, advertising just doesn't even compare. You could have all the advertising in the world. You could be standing under a billboard for somebody else, and if you turn
Hmm.
to the person and say, "Hey, I've got a guy," blah blah blah. That's yeah,
I
that's going to
mean,
do it.
and that's
Nice.
that's the thing. I think AI is one thing.
Yep.
You know, there's a monsoon of content that's coming out, but if you can get your branding dialed in, um, I think that at least for the next 3-4 years, I think that that'll be your guiding light.
Nice. Very cool. All right, let's talk about courage. On the program, we talk about where people find the courage to leave their 9 to 5, create their own success. Where do they find the courage to write the books? Where do they find the courage to get up and do a TED talk? Whatever it is. Um, how about you? Where did your courage come from? Where did you find the courage to step out and create Webster Berry Marketing?
Um, I think I get my courage from my mom. Um, my mom is a dynamic, um, free spirited, take no stuff type of person that would give you the shirt off of her back. Um, and she did an amazing job in my formative years of building up my sense of self, and whether it was warranted or not, convincing me that I could do, be, and have anything that I was willing to work for. Um, so yeah, when people hear the word courage, they think of heroism and being bold and fearless action. But for me, courage has never looked glamorous. It always looked like just staying consistent when no one's watching. It looked like um, moving forward when everything said that I should stop. And my courage was built in silence, through survival, through faith, and through the decision to keep showing up. And I learned that from my mother. She worked two jobs, two full-time jobs, for years and years. She would work, I want to say, Monday through Friday from, I think, 9 to 5, and then I want to say Thursday through Sunday she would get off at 5, and then she'd start work at 7 and work through the night.
Wow.
And she did that for several years to make sure that we had enough,
Hmm.
that I could grow up in a decent neighborhood. We weren't rich by any means. We didn't live in a fancy part of town, but she got me to some decently fancy schools. She made sure that I was surrounded by good people,
Nice.
and that to me takes courage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a yeah definition of courage right there. Very cool. Um, what do you look for in a leader?
um, I look for sacrifice. I look for scrappiness. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
I look for heart. I think that the best leaders are ones that are there to remove obstacles and serve the people under them. I believe that leadership requires you to improvise many times. That's where that scrappiness comes in, and I also think that a good leader is one who wants to win. No matter what. Well, I won't say no matter what. I mean, there's some lines, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
but they're there to help their people win, and
Nice.
and you have to have heart to win consistently. A broken clock is right at least twice a day. But for you to win consistently, you have to have the heart to stick it out,
Yeah.
because part of winning is losing,
Yeah.
and it takes heart to get back up after you've lost,
Nice.
and to analyze what the loss was, be honest with yourself, and fix it. And if you don't have that unique combination, I don't think that people are going to follow you very far.
Do you have any good examples in your background, either in corporate America or after you left? People you say,
Yeah,
This is a leader I like to emulate."
yeah. The CEO of PCI, his name is Drew. Amazing leader, servant leader, um, an inspiration to his employees, to other entrepreneurs. Um, just really a whole good human.
Nice.
And I saw him go through losing his wife, and um, having to take care of his two daughters, and a company that's making tens of millions of dollars a year, and hold the line for us in them, and continue to push the company forward, and not let his grief take the best of him, and ball it up into and throw it away. He maintained who he was, even though obviously he was grieving and dealing with unimaginable pain,
Wow.
and still show up as him, still the jovial, warm, caring, smart, and inventive, imaginative entrepreneur that he is. Um, he actually gave me a book, The Miracle Morning. I was I
Okay. Yep.
lucked
Good
up. I
book.
don't know how, but I lucked up and ended up um, in a book club with him. And I asked him a question. I asked him what was his favorite book, what book had the biggest impact on him, and he said The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And
Yeah.
I came into work a couple of days later, and the book was on my desk,
Nice.
and he had signed it, and he said, "Just make sure you finish it."
Okay.
And I did, and it's had a profound impact. So yeah, he's been an influence.
Very cool. So, what about you? If I was to um, run into any of uh, your colleagues, your team, on the street, and ask them about your leadership style, what would they tell me? What kind of leader are you?
Um, huh. Hopefully, it'd say good things. Who knows? No, I think that they would say I'm focused on winning. I think that winning solves most things. I think that most people want to be in a place that wins. Winning ethically. Um, so I empower them to be the best versions of themselves, and the best version of themselves makes us the best team, and the best team wins often. Um, I think they would say I'm patient, um, because we're always trying new things, we're always developing new things, and in creating, whether it's a process or some content or a software system, which we do. Creation requires patience. It requires you being relentless, but it also requires patience because your first attempt usually is not going to be the one that solves the problem. So I think in building all of the things that I've built, it's taught me to be patient with people in their development. I demand excellence, but be patient if they're trying,
Okay.
and um, I mean, trying has to give way to results, but in those early stages when there's, you know, just now learning a concept, just now learning a skill or a process, um, give them grace to
Mhm.
grow into their own greatness.
Nice. Yeah, that and the confidence that you help build in them and stuff, they'll move mountains for you, you know?
Yeah, winning helps with the confidence. Belief in people helps with the confidence. Letting people know that you believe in them, you
Yeah,
believe in their abilities, even if they don't really have them right now. I believe in your ability to grow, and giving them a little space to do so.
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good stuff. Yeah, so much I want to talk about. I wish we had more time. I'm up against a deadline. Arias, if people want to learn more about you and the programs you have and everything, how could they do that? What's your website?
Yeah, they can go to ariaswebsterberry.com, Arias Webster, like the dictionary, and then Berry. All my products, books, courses, companies are there. If you're looking for marketing specifically, you can go to WebsterBerryMarketing.com. And if you need an all in one business management and marketing system, well, Ignite Funnels is there for you. Just look up Ignite Funnels or ignitefunnels.com.
Very cool. And are you active on LinkedIn or
Yes,
probably all
I'm on
social media, but do you
all
connect
the
with people?
socials.
Okay.
I do. So yeah, Arias Websterberry. Drop me a line. I'm not Hollywood or fancy. I'm always open to connect with great people.
Awesome. Very cool. I will have all those links down in the show notes for people. And yeah, listeners, I hope you guys take advantage of this. What a great story. And love what you're doing with the company. Very cool.
Harlan, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
Mhm. Absolutely. It's been awesome. All right, listeners, hope you're taking notes. Definitely share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues. And stick around because there's always more coming. And that's it for me, Coach Harlan, saying so long for now.